Greeting, dearest souls. We send you all the love that we are connected to. And we ask you to please take a moment to one, receive, and two, understand you are in the same field of love. And as you loosen and make your connections to Source, letting go of all the mundane that fills your mind, the thought patterns, the things in the world that tell you to do this or do that. As you let go of those, you're going to find yourself immersed in this same field of source love. So please let it in, whether it's receiving it from us or just taking a breath and feeling all your focus into the 3D world melts away and allowing yourself to really have that connection. Because this is truly what we wish to speak to you of today. We want to celebrate your magnificence by reminding you of a few simple things you can do to keep yourself in that state of magnificence. It's especially important at this time. The holidays are a time when many people surface the wounds that were held back, but they can't hold it back anymore because people are walking around in cheer, trying to spread joy. There's colored lights everywhere, and it just kind of rattles against what you're holding inside. And this causes to a lot of depression for many people. So the holiday seasons are a time of trigger. But in addition to that, we have the time of ascension, where the energies on the planet are raising exponentially, making it even more of a trigger for many people. Even those of us who have been working at connecting with Source, at moving into 5D, at being expansive and feeling love, are finding difficulties now because so much is shifting and so much is asking to be cleared. So against that backdrop, we'd like to offer you some simple tips. I believe the channel has decided he was going to call this message Emergency RX, your daily dose of bliss. And that is the most important thing we wish to tell you about is get a daily dose of bliss. It's almost like the drug addict seeking their fix, except it's not that. It's you returning to your natural state and reminding yourself, oh, yeah, here is where I reside and dwell. This is my expression of soul, and this is what I'm going to bring forth into 3D. The daily dose of bliss. Now, how do you get this daily dose of bliss? Well, we've recommended at other times laughing, right? You can do laughter yoga. You can just practice getting together and making fake laughing sounds. So see, once you start, it becomes real and you can't help it. So there's laughter yoga. And you can look that up online, find videos of people and just play with it. See if you can get your friends together and just laugh. Another way is to use your extensive media system, particularly at this time of year. You are being flooded with holiday movies. And a lot of them are brokenhearted people find romance, which is in itself a nice thing if you're brokenhearted. You know, maybe there's romance out there. Or at least you can vicariously get it by watching a video of people. And of course, it's always against the background of Christmas carols and brightly colored lights and beautiful decorations. So why not watch Christmas movies? The channel and his wife do that daily as a practice for most of this month of December. Let's watch a Christmas movie today. It doesn't matter what it's about or if it's deeply uplifting. It's a place to just go and watch some beauty, feel some connection, and get a few laughs in if it's a funny one. Of course, you can just choose funny venues to be watching. Time to go through your favorite shows, which many streaming services make available to you. What made you laugh when you were a kid? What did you remember when you were little? Can you find those shows and watch them? binge on them, dare say. Just make it so that there's some movement and energy. And that's what we wish to give to you, more importantly than anything, is your daily dose of bliss. Now, several other things may be arising as a result of the shift you're coming in, and we'd like to address those as well. One thing that the channel noticed was after he did a meditation, which wasn't really much of a meditation because it had this really rollicking music that was inspired by another person in the group. They were listening to it together, and he noticed kind of an effervescence in him, and he just let it go. And then through the night, he would wake up and different things were shaking. And he would notice meridians where old injuries, decades old injuries would be shaking. And he would feel himself eventually relax because he has been trained to say, you are welcome here when energies come out, when fears that have been repressed or wounds that have been covered over arise. He welcomes them. That's the clear, clear, clear that we tell you every week. Welcome what is there so it can release and clear. And so he's been having a whole morning and a whole night of just wildly shaking different parts of his body that previously were aching. And he's been noticing long-term aches, and the shaking would start there and go all the way up and connect to a different point in his body where there might have been another pain. And he could start to see the network of how one was layered on top of the other. So you may find this happening to you, to yourself, or you may choose to induce it by breathing into those areas that you feel tightness in your body, and just say, you're welcome here, whatever comes up. The key, of course, is not to go into a mental set to try to explain what happened to you. In fact, that will shut down the process quite quickly. The key is to stay with it and just let it express and shake, even if it's nothing more than nameless terror, which it is for many people. And you can see it when someone's nervous, their leg will shake wildly or their foot will twitch. And you can see it as people get older, they have uncontrollable shakes and twitches, and they fight it. What's wrong with me? I have a palsy. I need to take care of this. And very few of them have decided to go with the strategy. Let me let this shake until it's done. And it may take a day or two. And it may be that I have to not try to explain it or shut it down in any way and just let it go. And it may connect to other things in your body that want to shake out. Then you'll feel some relaxation. And you'll start to feel more of that love source come to you. Because the blockages preventing it are being removed. So this is a side effect, as they say in the medical profession, the side effect. Like it's going to happen on your side. But anyway, it's an effect of the process of letting go. So you may notice that during this holiday season, especially as you get your daily dose of bliss, you may be seeing yourself shake. And we encourage you to allow that. Allow that. Now, the next thing we wish to speak of was a fun little event that happened to the channel. And he'd heard this described before, but until it had happened to him, he was like, what is this? So just like you are clearing, the planet is clearing. Those of you who are energy sensitive know when you walk into a pocket of dense energy. Often you see this around cemeteries or, where there have been battles or atrocities. You can feel the energy there. And many people put up their protections or do what they do. Some people are bold and clear, right? And they say, oh, I can clear this in my body. Let me clear this in the planet. But as you move more into your fifth dimensional self, you're going to start to experience more of the pockets of energy on the planet. And you're going to notice the field you are in that is often physically held by the grid. Now, of course, the grid is changing, and when this transition into 5D is complete, these will no longer be what's on the planet. But for now, this is kind of like landmines for some people. So what happened to the channel is he was at a community farm he participates in, and he was standing in a certain spot, And he asked a question of his wife, and his wife gave him an answer. And it triggered him because the answer was not very clear. And he started yelling at her about how he needed a better answer. And she started giving him the same answer. And so this went on for a while until she was smart enough to just let him do his thing. So, of course, this was running over in his head over and over. I know none of you can relate to that, where you have a tiff or a spat and it just keeps recycling your head. I should have said this, or she said that, or whatever it is that you do to keep the mental cycles running. We know that, right? So it's running through his head while he's driving home from the farm. And he realizes that about a year ago, in that exact same place he was standing, a similar argument took place between a person and the manager of this farm area. And it was almost exactly the same thing they were arguing about. And that argument blew up so big and got so ferocious that one person had to leave. And there was resentment from both sides, and especially the person who was no longer with the farm. And the channel Peter just suddenly went, whoa, I channeled their argument. That energy was still there. And because of what I was doing, I'm being open. I picked it up and didn't realize it wasn't my argument. So I had it with my wife, and then I blamed her for it. And in that moment of awareness, all the pain and grief left him, all the mental cycle that's been going on just dissipated. And he felt no more anger or anything. And he could go home to his wife and say, I'm sorry I said what I said, but it wasn't really me saying it. I just was simply channeling an argument that happened there. And he and she both laughed about it because the awareness cleared it. Now, of course, when he goes back to the farm, he'll just put a column of light there because that's something we all have the power to do. You have the power to do. It is your planet. You can unconsciously say, oh no, there's bad things happening around me, wars and these things. So you can say, hey, this is my planet. I only want the good stuff here. So if you're a dark, negative energy, you need to go now. All right. No more hanging around praying. This happens at the astral planes a lot. Where entities leave the planet but don't fully leave, and they liked what they were getting on the planets. They hang around like bars and wait till people get drunk enough so they can go blackouts. They can come back in and have a little game and play around in your body, and then we can wake up in a jail cell or whatever the next morning and not remember what you did because it wasn't you doing it. So that happens a lot. And you see it around memorial sites where tragedies happen, entities that want to feed off the grief of other people. Oh, yeah, I feel bad about this, so we can suck this energy from you. That's how they feed. They're all leaving the planet because the planet is moving out of that density and it's got to pass through the astral plane to get through to the fifth dimension. So they're going to be showing themselves in many ways. And what will happen is as you become aware of it, those entities and energies can no longer be there. So you, not just the channel, but you can command, this is my space, this is my planet. So only positive energy can be here. So whatever's here, you go back to source now. You just go back to source and get yourself all right with however you want to. But this is my planet. And I am sovereignly declaring that as a citizen of this planet, only light and love can be here. Do you know how powerful you can become and how much you can affect the transition of the entire planet by just saying no? When you witness something on the news, if you're still watching that, and say, no, that is not acceptable. I will not have that action on my planet. When you see it in a movie, no, that is not correct behavior. I will not be normalized by that. I will not seek vicarious entertainment from that. No, that is not allowed on my planet. If you start asserting yourself in that way, this transition will be a lot quicker. Of course, it means you'll have to have enough courage to deal with what you feel, right? If you've been scared of ghosts, then of course you're going to attract them in the first few bits of this until you really become sovereign and claim that, hey, nothing affects me because nothing can come into my sphere except love and light. And once you make that assertion, then there you are, you're shielded. Anyway, we're not trying to give you instructions to go out and clean up the whole planet, but yes, we are. Just like you keep a clean house, your insides reflect your outside. So if your house is messy, then you know what's going on inside. And it reflects to you, right? Money attracts, when you become friends with the spirit of money. Many people complain about that, especially about the holidays, because all the stuff comes up and the money issue is there too. Oh, I can't afford this, right? It's the holidays. And if you're not keeping a clean space, then how is the spirit of money going to feel welcome in your space? And we're not telling you to go out and clean, but maybe you might want to do that. I know the channel many times early on in his life would not allow people to clean around him because he was too busy brooding and being depressed, and it was hard to stay in his depression when the space around him was nice. So he learned that even though he doesn't like cleaning, you know, when the house is clean, he's happier. He eventually hired a housekeeper, even though he couldn't afford it, because then once he got used to being in a clean space, money came and he could afford the housekeeper. And that was decades ago. So you can get there by taking care of your space quite literally. And you can do that as a sadhana, that is the Hindi word, Sanskrit, as an action, a demonstration that you're doing something devoutly to connect with your divine. So it's not just cleaning up your physical space that we're talking about. We're talking about taking responsibility for your space, for your planet, and being clear about what is allowed, because you are sovereign and you are not a victim. So enjoy these adventures as they happen. It'll happen internally as things start to shake. And if you allow that, you'll let stuff go. If you try to explain it and understand it and get the history and see a psychologist, well, then you're going to be in that cycle for as long as it takes your mind to be satisfied, until you get to say, no, I don't need the mind cycle anymore. I can just clear this by letting it be welcome and finish, and then feel the love and joy around me. And that happens very quickly once you learn to allow it. It's just that most people have not learned to allow it. One of the channel's greatest teachers told them, the suffering is not the action that you are experiencing the suffering around. The suffering is the effort you're putting into avoiding the feelings created by that action. The avoidance is the suffering. And as the channel used to love to say, the only way through it is through it. So dive in, get through it. In the meantime, remember our first message: get a daily dose of bliss, because it's really hard right now. The energies are up on the planet with this transition, and the energies are up with the holiday season anyway. Get your daily dose of bliss. Get some laughter in. Go to holiday parties. Watch a show, just gives you some whimsy. Whether it's funny or romantic, it doesn't matter, as long as it's pretty and nice. Stop, just take a break from all the horrible, stressful dramas that are normally out there. Oh, we were laughing because the channel just reminded himself he saw an ad for a movie called Violent Santa. Because the forces out there are working so hard to keep you from getting into the holiday spirit, which means literally getting into your spirit. Except it's not going to be just for a brief time every year, and then you go back to the sludge. We're going to 5D, and it's going to be even better and more unimaginable than your best Christmas. Yes, that's where we're headed. And you can get there. So please, get your daily dose of bliss. And allow yourself to make the movements, whether they're internal or external. Just allow and welcome what's there. And then when it's finished with your body, say, okay, that was great. You go to the light source now, energetics, and now I'm filled up with source love. And externally, you kind of do the same thing, except you don't wait for it to clear, you command it. Okay, whatever energy you're there, this planet is moving into light and love, and I'm putting a column of light here, and you do literally see it come from source, the central sun, whatever you call it. See a column of light appear there and go all the way down to the center of Gaia. And invite Gaia to be with you as you do that. Just put that column of light there and say, yeah, this is what our planet is becoming. And this spot is now connected to all spots. And what was there is gone, because what is there is just magnificent love, beauty, connection. And that's what we leave you with. Magnificent love, beauty, and connection. Blessings to you. And thank you. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak and connect with you. That is the greatest gift, connection. You're honored. Those of you who are connecting, not just viewing this, although many of you are, but we feel it. We feel those of you, no matter what time or space it is you're watching this in, we feel that connection, and we're grateful. And every day the channel Peter is getting more and more able to feel that connection, and he is grateful too. Stay blessed, because you are blessed, and know that you are blessed. So go out and have some bliss. Hi, this is Peter D. Thank you so much for your support. We're all doing our best to help humanity ascend. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel so YouTube will place these messages where more people can see them. And of course, you can always check the links below if you'd like to book a channeled spiritual coaching session or make a donation. Much appreciation.